Hey, it's Clay. Welcome to another video. Today, we're going to take a look at this. This is a guitar. This is made by a company called Fesley. This is their ST kit. It's kind of a Stratocaster style kit. You buy it, it's like $89. It's extremely inexpensive. Comes to you in a box, and you get it as a kit, and you assemble it, and it turns into this. What I'm going to do in the video today is I'm going to build it. I'm going to set it up. We're going to modify and tinker with it a little bit. Going to give you some tone clips, and I'm going to give you a bit of a review and kind of who I think this guitar would be best suited for. If you're curious and interested about that, why don't you stick around and let's check it out. As we dive into this, full disclosure, Fesley contacted me. They sent me this guitar for free. I did not pay them any money. They have not paid me any money. They contacted me. I gave them my shipping information. They shipped this guitar to my house, and I've decided to put it together. They have not seen this video, and I reserve all opinions to be my own, but certainly want to put that out there, and you guys take that for what it is. So this is the package that you receive in the mail. It's a pretty simple box. Comes with a really nice instruction manual here. A lot of high-quality glossy pictures. This is the neck. Looks pretty good. And then this is the body. I would say it was all packed reasonably well, and it came to my house with no issues. I didn't really have any damage, any missing parts. Everything was neatly organized, very clean, very easy. No problems. Then this box has all the hardware, the parts, basically everything else other than just the wood components that need to go on the guitar. So this is what you all get in the box. Alright, I'd like to give a little bit of a first impressions on this neck. First of all, the wood actually looks quite good. This is a nice dark, it looks like a Indian rosewood to me. The frets appear to be more of a medium jumbo or jumbo size, which I like. The nut appears to be made out of plastic. The shaping of this headstock is overall quite good. I kind of like it. A very minimalistic Fesley logo, which I think looks really kind of nice. There are holes drilled out for pretty much everything. I would say they're drilled out in kind of a rough way. You can see there's a little bit of like a little tidbit of wood still stuck on there. The maple looks very good. It's got a little bit of an interesting, I don't know exactly what you would call that, kind of a striping pattern going on here. This is the grain orientation. I would not call that quarter sawn. To me it almost looks more like half sawn. Just fine, nothing unexpected there. In my hand, the profile feels like a very medium shaped C, similar to what you'd find on a Fender neck. I typically, historically, have a bit of a preference towards very large fat necks, but this one feels good to me. See, when we get the guitar on. The finish that's on the neck feels very smooth, very satin, very smooth. It has just a tiny little bit of reflection, but overall, the wood feels very, very smooth. Running my hand up and down, I am feeling a little bit of fret sprout along both sides, which is really not unexpected, but it's going to be something you're definitely going to want to address, and we will figure that out. The headstock up here has a spot for an Allen wrench to adjust the truss rod. The neck overall looks very flat, and to be honest, I mean, other than a little bit of the fret sprout, this neck appears to be really, really good. Second, let's look at this body. My first reaction is that it looks good. Mine has two seams, so it appears to be a three-piece body, which does not bother me. You can definitely see, though, a little bit of a darker wood here, a little bit lighter on the wings. Also, it does not appear to me that the wings are symmetrical. On the front, it's a little more book matched. Like, you can't really see the transition line here unless you look. This one is pretty obvious. In my hands, this body feels very light. That is a subjective opinion. I have not weighed it yet, and I will do so. It feels very smooth to the touch. I don't know exactly what kind of wood this is made out of. My initial reaction is that it is probably not a species of wood I'm super familiar with. I can take a look on their website, see if I can get any information about that, but my initial reaction is it's probably more of a quick growth type wood. I'm having a hard time telling. I'm trying to look inside these cavities here. There are some ridges here, but they don't really look like growth rings to me. You can kind of see them here, but kind of not at the same time. I'm having a hard time really telling exactly what kind of wood it is, but it does not look bad. It feels very smooth to the touch. It's definitely been sanded. There does also seem to be some kind of very light finish. The same kind of finish that they have on the neck seems to be applied here. It's a very, very low luster, low sheen, satiny type finish. Again, all the holes are cut and they feel a little rough. Like you can definitely see that somebody just screwed it with a drill and then that was pretty much it. There's a little bit of a spot here. There's like a hole in here. I don't know if that's intentional or not. My one comment, the wood does seem to be a very soft and almost have kind of a flaky character to it. See, there's a little bit of a harsh cutout in here. Overall though, the body looks in pretty good shape. One of my initial reactions is, you certainly could choose to finish it if you want. I think I'm going to proceed with it as is and leave room for customization later after I assemble the full build. Let's look next at this bag of miscellaneous hardware components. To start, we've got some plastics here that are in white. My initial reaction is that the parts look good. Definitely appears to me that these are similar parts to what you would find on like a Squire level. This is just a very straightforward, low, simple plastic. This is a 3-ply pick guard, which is a nice touch. The knobs look fine. The switch definitely feels, and definitely you can see, is a very inexpensive mass-produced type switch. The pots, looks like it maybe says YAR. I can't even tell. F? YARF? They're small, mini-sized. The pickups look to be kind of a ceramic. Okay, this is like a quick connect. Interesting. So it's not really intended to have a lot of soldering. I would say the wiring is fine. It's a little haphazard, but it's going to be fine. Definitely looks like a ceramic bar magnet type single coil pickup. Got some springs and a tremolo claw. Here's the tremolo block. This will be kind of interesting to look at. Okay. Looks to me like it's very shiny. Wow. It's extremely glossy. Looks like a very standard Squire level Stratocaster type block. There's not a lot of mass to it. The metal that they use appears to be definitely on the more inexpensive side. Comes with a cable and a tremolo bar. I'm always kind of amazed at these really low-end or more affordable type instruments tend to come with all these tools. We've got a wrench here for adjusting. For example, this the leg on this guy is way off. I'm just kidding, that does not fit. This big guy is probably for adjusting the truss rod on the headstock. Comes with a cable. I don't really have a ton of faith in these cables. I mean, they're probably okay, but I don't know if I would tour or gig with it. Comes with a back plate. Okay, it has this plastic cover piece. Never really am a big fan of that. I prefer to not use it and may not choose to use it. Got some strings, it looks like. Interesting. Typical football style, or I guess Stratocaster style output jack. This, just looking at this output jack, soldering seems okay. And then it's got this quick connect, just plug and play. Here are those screws. Got all the screws. And here's the tuners. You know, I actually have had a pretty good experience with very inexpensive eBay type tuners. These feel certainly like that. But yeah, I would certainly say all of the hardware that I'm looking at here, and you're definitely getting made in China Squire level hardware, Epiphone level stuff. And I'm not saying that as a problem. I think that's in line with a reasonable expectation for this kind of kit. But one thing I will say is everything they have everything you want here, and it takes all the guesswork out of it. It just looks like this is going to be very easy to build. It looks like all these parts are going to fit together well. I mean, this is probably going to be one of the easiest guitar builds I've ever done. And so I am really looking forward to progressing.
Alright, I elected to start by screwing the neck into the body. The holes are all pre-drilled. The screws fit in nicely. Just put the plate on and you start screwing them in. Now I kind of do an X pattern where I kind of go back and forth between the different screws. So I'm not tightening one down all the way. I'm tightening kind of each of them a little bit, and then the next one a little bit, and then the next one a little bit, just so that we're not creating any weird stress for pressure points. Kind of let it all acclimate. Next we go to the tremolo claw. There's just two screws here. These two screws govern how stiff the tremolo feels, so you can actually adjust them to help change basically the setup of how the vibrato arm functions. This is a 6-point vibrato block, and so we've got 6 of these screws that need to go in here on the top. Make sure you listen to a good podcast while you're building guitars. Then for these tuning keys, they each have one little screw that secures it here on the back side so it doesn't slide around on you. And on the front, you've got a washer and then a nut with a little bit of a collar that each screws in. And I use this little grabbing tool to tighten it down a little bit more, a little pliers. Everything fit perfectly nicely, and even though these tuners are about as bare bones as you can get, they work just fine. 2 string trees, no problem there. Then I go to the pick guard. It's all pre-wired. The pre-wiring is a little messy, but it's going to be fine. Gotta fish this wire in here into the output jack cavity, and it's just a little plug-in connector, quick connect. Gotta make sure the wires are all routed in properly so they fit into the channels. And underneath, there's a little lip on the neck and a little lip there, but everything fit in just fine. Again, these, there are like, I think 11 of these screws. They all screws in no problem. Everything fit perfectly well. Kind of wrangle these wires a little bit. And put the output jack screws in. Piece of cake.
Okay, I am going to do a little bit of work on these frets. When I run my hand like this, I do feel a little bit of sharpness poking me. I've just got some 220 grit sandpaper here, and kind of a block of wood as a backing block. Just going to give it a light. Okay, we're zoomed way in here on a fret. So you can see now that there's a pretty flat surface here, because I've taken this piece of sandpaper and rubbed it straight across, and that has made a flat surface. And so now there is a little bit of an edge here, and so we need to knock that edge off. Now if you go back to this first fret, you can see a little bit here just on this right side. I've taken this, if you have a fret file, that's the proper tool, but I just took a screwdriver and a little bit of this piece of sandpaper. I'm going to make the sandpaper a little smaller so it's easier to work with. And just give it a little kiss here. Again, I'm just trying to knock that edge, just soften that edge so that when I run my finger over like this, it does not catch. So like here, I can feel it's a little sharpness. This is definitely softer and smoother. Just giving it a little kiss here. Really don't need a ton. And I'm not trying to really get onto the wood. And if you really wanted to be careful about not marking up any of the fretboard wood, you could put masking tape down on each side, but I'm not that concerned about it. And now this fret here feels like there's none of this is poking me, and it feels nice and smooth. So it's just a little bit, and again, this is like just a 220 grit sandpaper. And it's just knocking a little bit of that sharp edge off. Now this fret feels great. We're going to keep going and do all these frets. What I'm doing here is I'm taking this flat side of a screwdriver and I'm just rubbing it over this fretboard edge. I'm not shaving any wood off, but I'm just kind of compressing and rounding the edge of this fretboard just to make it a little more comfortable. It's just a subtle thing, not a big change, but just a little bit of rounding to make it a little more comfortable. Alright, I just want to comment at this point. I've got the guitar strung up, and my next step is to do a setup. And really, up until this point, this build has been so easy. Like, this is just very, very accessible. And to be entirely clear, my context is like I basically just do custom builds, where I order all the parts individually, and I gotta fit them together, and that's kind of the fun of it to me. But this build was so easy. It was so easy and simple and straightforward. The only soldering I had to do was the ground wire, and everything else just screws in. It literally took me like a couple hours. And I did a little bit of work on the neck just to make it a little more comfortable, because that's what I like, but I mean, it's not required. Like, this is just so easy to get to this point. And you know, this guitar is what, like $89 or something? So in my mind, this is really the value of this guitar, is you get to this point and you get to practice on doing a setup. You get to practice doing mods. You know, I haven't done a lot of fretwork in my life, and so I gotta really practice rounding and smoothing these edges so that the frets feel really good. I have not had a floating tremolo on a guitar in like literally ever, and so I block all the tremolos on my Strat, so I'm actually kind of excited to try to see if I can get this floating tremolo working. You know, getting the saddles set up is going to be great. Getting the truss rod on the neck adjusted so that the guitar plays really good. This guitar is a beginner luthier's dream. You buy it for $89, you get this really nice platform for practicing your skills, learning how to assemble and set up a guitar. And then if you want, you can put in new pickups, you can put in new pots and a switch, you can experiment with some kind of interesting or complicated wiring. Like the options are endless. And you know what? If you screw it all up, it's not a big deal. You're not, you know, if I would have messed up the fretwork on this, I'm not going to lose any sleep. This isn't a $2,000 PRS or Les Paul or something. This is a guitar that is perfect for practicing your setup skills on. So this next part of the build, I tend to do this like over time, and I kind of let myself adjust the setup, basically how the action of the strings, the string height. I set this up over time. There really are three variables in play. The first one is the height of the strings down here at the nut. How well are the nut sluts cut? How well are the nut slots cut? Are they too high or are they too low? Just looking at this, they appear to me to be a little bit high, and I would like to take them down a little bit. But that's the first part. And that really should be kind of a fixed measurement, meaning there's not a lot of range of adjustment there. You're just trying to get it to an accurate point. You know, if it's too high, then when you play this first fret, you're going to be pulling the string down so far at such a sharp angle that it's going to pull it really sharp. If it's too low, it's going to choke and fret out no matter what. So you got to find that sweet spot. The second one is the truss rod. The truss rod governs how much curve is in the neck. And I usually do that by taking the guitar like this, and I will use the string as a straight edge, because the string is going to be straight no matter what. And I close one of my eyes and I look down, and I'm trying to see is there any curve in the neck compared relative to the string. I want the neck to be pretty flat and maybe have a little bit of curve this way. And I'll adjust the truss rod righty-tighty, lefty-loosey to get that dialed in. And then lastly, you've got these saddles. This is where you can really adjust this thing freely. And you want to first of all, you want to follow the curve of the radius of the fretboard. So you do want a gentle curve, so the middle two are a little higher than the outsides. And then really you're just adjusting how high or low it is. And in these you can dial. I mean, you've got these Allen keys. They turn really freely. It's a piece of cake. And so definitely would recommend experimenting with that. Also got to adjust the intonation, which is how far these screws are forward or backwards to get the pitch in right. I'm also going to be adjusting these screws here to get or maybe with how many springs I've got, which hooks they're on, to determine the spring or the tension of the tremolo arm. So all these things are things that I will dial in just kind of with trial and error. I'll pick up the guitar, I'll play it for a little bit, I'll make some tweaks until I get it to a place that I'm comfortable with and I'm happy with the setup. Alright, literally the first chord I played with this guitar, just got an acoustic unplugged here. Alright, a couple initial impressions. It's light, it feels well balanced on my leg, the neck feels smooth and comfortable, the little work I did to the fret ends and the edge of the fretboard feels really nice and smooth and comfortable to play. The action of the strings feels high, especially here on these low frets. I definitely, just by feel, I haven't taken any measurements, but it looks to me like the nut is cut very, very high and needs to be lowered. The saddles probably could use to go down a little bit, but honestly, let's throw the tremolo arm on here. Why not? See if that works. Pretty fun little guitar to play. I'm going to keep working on the setup, get these nut slots filed down, and keep addressing the action, and we'll go from there. Alright, I've just got a set of nut slot files. There's 3 of them. They're actually a little bit too big for this string gauge, so I'm actually bumping everything up. This is the one really for the 5th string. I'm just going to file them down. And I, again, tend to follow more of a trial and error approach. You definitely can and probably should measure, but I tend to, like I said, do more of the trial and error approach where I make some adjustment, I put the string back in, string it back up, see how it feels. Keep going on that rinse and repeat till I get it where I want. And again, with this, you really don't want to be too aggressive, because once you've taken material away, you really can't bring it back. Basically, there are ways to kind of fill it back in, but they're hard. And really at that point, you probably should just get a new nut. I am trying to, if this is flat, I am trying to do just a tiny bit of a tiny bit of a break angle, maybe just 1 or 2 degrees. These strings feel like about a 9 gauge to me, which is pretty thin. For my personal preference, I tend to play like a 10 to 52, skinny top, heavy bottom, and I do tend to like a little bit of a thicker string. So I probably will be a little annoyed. These strings are going to feel a little bit slinky to me, but hey, they were included for free. We're going to give them a shot. I do believe that the nut is plastic, just based upon what I'm experiencing here as I file it. Now this top E string becomes a little bit of a problem because this file is really too big for this slot, but that's what I've got. Alright, I'm just going to keep fine-tuning this back and forth till I get it to a place where I'm pretty happy with it. Ran into a bit of a problem here. This is my guitar cable, and went to plug it into the jack, and it most definitely does not go in. Like, it's just stuck. What is happening? Like, this does not fit. I'm super confused. I got a patch cable from my pedal board. It doesn't go in. Alright, I've just got a Switchcraft made in the USA 1/4" jack. It doesn't fit into this piece. So, and I don't think I have another one of these. I think I will be able to open it up with a screwdriver or with a drill bit, but this is kind of becoming a little bit more of a problem than what I was hoping I would have to deal with. Alright, I've got my new 1/4" Switchcraft jack. This was the original football plate, and I just took it out to the garage, stuck it in a vise, and I took a drill bit that matched the same diameter as this round piece and ran it through there to enlarge the hole a little bit. And so now it fits just fine. And if I take one of my cables, it's going to fit just fine on there. So far, to kind of keep track of where we're at if you're keeping score, I have had to make some changes to the nut. The nut was way high, needed to be filed down. I needed to do some adjustments to the frets. They were a little bit sharp, needed to be trimmed a little bit on the edges. And then now this 1/4" jack basically did not fit. Now, just kind of a philosophical question, but when you spend $90 on a kit guitar, I think it's probably reasonable to expect that you're going to need to do some adjustment or tweaking or work to the build to make it fit right. To me, that is reasonable expectation. I guess I would be curious though. I know I kind of just finished going on a little bit of a rant about how I think this kit is so wonderful for people that are maybe new to the modding hobby and want to, you know, take this guy for a spin for the first time. And maybe this is causing me to change my tune a little bit, because up until now, I would say this build has gone very, very smooth. But honestly, maybe some of this is just a part of the ball game, where like I said, maybe you should just reasonably expect that you're gonna need to do a little bit of customization and adjusting and dialing in of things like this. I don't know, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. How much of this is reasonable? At what point are you disappointed or thinking, that's not what I was hoping for? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Alright, I've got the Fesley plugged into my guitar amplifier for the very first time. My children are sleeping, and so it's on a whisper quiet volume. But I can't wait, so let's see if this thing makes sound. Haha, it makes noise. Okay, the electronics all work. These two tone controls are for neck and middle. This one is not the bridge. It probably really should be, so I'll probably change that, but it works. Okay, next thing. Remember when I said don't fly too close to the sun when you're shaving down the nut slots? Well, I got a problem. The plastic on this shaved off really fast. I was trying to be gentle, but I took too much away too fast. My low 3 strings are good. The G string is pretty close. The B string is good, but the high E string frets on the 1st fret, which is a bummer. So I need to replace the nut with a bone nut. Oops, my bad. Okay, this is the 5-way switch. It has a bunch of contacts. Here on the end, these last 3 pieces here go to the tone controls. This 3rd one is open, and then there's a white and there's a yellow. The yellow is going to the neck tone control. The white's going to the middle tone control. I want to connect to the bridge. So I'm going to run a little jumper wire from this last to here. Now, I'm not 100% certain that that's correct, because basically I need to take the hot wire from the bridge needs to get to the tone control. So I've got my multimeter set for continuity. If I find the bridge pickup, that would be the hot wire is this one right here. So there is continuity between the bridge, and here. So this wire, this terminal here, this 3rd one from the end needs to connect to the 2nd one to go to this white wire to the tone pot. Alright, I've got the Fesley here. I'm plugged into a pedal board, into a Marshall Plexi that is set pretty clean and neutral. The master is cranked. I'm on the normal channel, set it at like 2 or 3, and the EQ is just straight up at noon. Let's just play this thing for a second, see how she sounds. Let's add a little reverb and some delay. Okay, let's give some initial impressions. The neck on this guitar feels great. The tuning pegs are dirt cheap, inexpensive, and basic, but they work fantastic. This guitar is staying in tune well. These pickups sound really good. This guitar sounds like a Stratocaster. It is a Stratocaster for all intents and purposes. The neck pickup is warm and velvety and just it's just like a warm hug. The 2 and 4 position are really clear and bright and spanky, and I really enjoy them. You know, the middle pickup has got this kind of honky thing. Bridge pickup is really bright. Definitely gonna cut through. I've done a little bit of adjustment on the Stratocaster tremolo. This is a 6.0, and to be straight up, I really haven't had a lot of experience with these. I almost always just block them, meaning I turn it basically into a hardtail. So, you know, this is a good example with this guitar. It lets you experiment and test something maybe a little different than what your comfort zone would be. So it's been a fun experiment to try to set it up to float. You know, I can get it. I have a little bit of range back. And a lot of range down. Definitely when you use it aggressively, it goes out of tune, not to be unexpected. Definitely need to tune it. There definitely are some things about this guitar that are like very much personal preference. For example, the stock strings that come with it feel like 9-gauge to me. This feels very, very thin. I'm used to playing like a 10 to 52 skinny top, heavy bottom type string. So these strings feel very, very light to me. I would prefer and probably will change them to a heavier gauge string because that's my preference. Also, I'm really just not used to playing with a tremolo. And so, you know, having this vibrato tremolo arm is just kind of a wild experience to be able to modulate the pitch. It's just something I'm not very used to because I never play guitars that have it. Again, that's kind of the fun of this thing, right? It gives me a toolkit in my arsenal that's a little different than my everyday experience. Kind of forces me to play outside the box a little bit. But, I mean, this guitar sounds and plays really, really good. I'm very impressed. let's mess around with a little bit of different tone. I'm still plugged into my Plexi. I now have the volume at about 8 out of 10, so it's pretty much cranked all the way up. No effects are on. Alright, well, let's bring this back together with some summarizing thoughts. This Fesley is a really fascinating... I mean, I'm really impressed. This is $89, and to me, this is just the perfect place to get into DIY, guitar building, tinkering, modding, lutherie. If you want a project to sink some time into, if you're maybe been a little intimidated but curious, this is the perfect place to start. If you're an experienced player that's played for a long time and you want to pick up a guitar to add to your arsenal that's going to add a little bit of a different voice, maybe you're going to put it into a specific tuning, maybe you want to set it up in a unique or specific way, maybe you want to try some pickup combination stuff that you don't have, this is just an excellent addition to a lot of different people's arsenal. And really, you know, for what you're getting here, the neck is really, really good. The tuning pegs, the hardware is definitely very, very cheap and affordable quality hardware. However, it functions really well. I just played for several minutes. It sounds great. It was a really fun kit to build together. It was very, very easy to build. A huge strength of this thing was just how easy and simple and straightforward it was to put together. It comes with this instructional book with high quality pictures and good detailed description. It gives you a step-by-step guide of how to do everything. I mean, honestly, this thing, I don't know why you wouldn't pick it up. What do you have to lose? What are you going to be out if you don't care for it? All in all, because of all of these really tremendous strengths, I think this Fesley offers a really wonderful product, and I gotta say, compared to when I started playing guitar, the entry-level stuff, I mean, for an entry-level price tag, you're getting a really nice guitar, and this would be a perfect platform to modify it, put some new pickups, tinker with some new hardware, learn how to solder. This is such a good platform for tinkering around with all that stuff, and you could really turn this thing into a wonderful, reliable gigging instrument, recording instrument, for a variety of skill levels and demographics. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, bye.